So our marketing department tells us that we need to target the teenager demographic more. So we're doing a show about malls today. Malls in Krakow.
Shopping centers.
Shopping center. Mall. What's wrong with malls?
I just hate that word.
Sounds like a rugby
shopping
I
mall.
can't say it. Malls.
All right, shopping centers, malls, whatever you call them.
You call it whatever you like. It's a free country, son.
First of all, you guys, do you have a favorite mall, or you just go to the one that's closest? Now, Dave, you live across the street from one, so maybe it's not a good question for you.
I think we're all, as Krakowians, kind of defined by our proximity to certain malls, whether we work beside them or live beside them. You know, they're a central part of the experience of living here in Krakow. And I live beside Galeria. I best not say.
One of them, for all of your stalker fans out there.
Galeria Krakowska, which is one of the quieter malls.
I don't know about that. It seems pretty lively. Last time I was there, no? Do you think it's
got a few
quieter as in like poorly?
very empty units, though.
Very well designed, very well kitted out, very nice mall. You happy with my pronunciation?
Of mall?
Of mall.
Yeah, it's totally, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cheers.
Josh, what's your default mall?
Actually, that's a tricky one since I moved here because I'm no longer quite so close to Galeria Krakowska.
Yeah, we're on Dila at the moment, so it's kind of closer to Kazimierz, I guess, Krakowska.
But I mean, actually, according to Google Maps, it's like a couple of kilometers away.
Would you spend the extra time and go out of your way to go to a mall that you preferred over one that's closer and more convenient?
Let's do Galeria Krakowska first. Consumer advice. It's got a Jeff's. It's got a cinema.
We're gonna. You're jumping ahead on the script.
Yeah, because people want to know what's the best mall and why. You know, that's.
So you're going to make the case for Kazimierz.
I'm going to
right
make
the
case
like that
for my favorite Galeria.
Well, I think actually, in my mall experience, if I pronounce that correctly, experience, Banaka City is a great mall, but it's not very convenient for me. But it really, it's got a great layout. It's got a lot of stuff in there, not just your generic mall stores. Shops, as we British call them. It's got a McDonald's and a Burger King.
It has. It's got a very good food court.
Very good food court.
KFC as well.
It's got the
trifecta.
The biggest cinema in Krakow, with all the private rooms where you can get a VIP ticket and get the nosh before you go in.
Apple kind of eye store. Or...
Yeah, it has that. It has a nice spot. It has a Leroy Merlin. It has an Auchan. It has a TK Maxx. It has the largest schmick in Krakow.
Weren't you just making the case for Kazimierz a second ago? And
I'm
now
just trying to be journalistic and fair here.
We're not. Apples and oranges here. Banaka City is a huge mall. Galeria Krakowska is more like a kind of a bijou mall, a kind of a little bit of what you need and perhaps something a little extra, but nothing.
I'm not sure who the general manager is of Galeria Krakowska. Who knows these things? But whoever it is has a good strategy. He's putting a lot of, or she, excuse me, what a bit
sexist,
a bit of unconscious sexism.
She maybe
whoever this person may be, or a team of people, have really tried hard in the last few years to, capture the family market, the Sunday crowd. They've got a free play area upstairs outside the technology store, RGD, whatever it's called, AGD. It's got a good gym. The gym is a swimming pool on the back side. They have food truck festivals all the time. They have the Misty spray in their field. They have a nice outdoor playground. They bring Charlie out there all the time. It's very nice.
Yeah, it does seem like there's an active strategy for getting people in and, changing things up and keeping it fresh.
Totally relocated an escalator at one point a few years ago.
They did.
That was quite
the
extraordinary.
People traffic flow.
One of the nice things about living beside a shopping centre is you occasionally see elevator maintenance. Have you ever seen a team of guys taking apart an
that's something else. There's a reason why
it's a lot of steel.
They're expensive.
All right, let's make that a different show sometime.
Yeah.
Let's back up for a second. Let me give I'm going to give our listeners a masterclass in the history of Krakow malls.
Oh, I haven't finished making the case for Galeria.
Yeah, I finished it for you, Vic. We're going to move on to the... Hold it, Dave.
Jeff's,
so excited
man.
about Jeff's. Jesus.
Cheap breakfast.
So, for those of you listening who haven't been here for that long, the Krakow's malls, such as they are, started in 2002. Sorry, 2002. Into 2001, beginning of 2002, with Krakow Plaza, which today is known as Galeria Plaza, and will soon have another change of name, I think, on a
Ghost Town, I think.
Can we call them Galerias instead of malls?
Let's say,
it's a much more elegant word.
But is that a trademark?
Plaza.
I don't know.
Krakow Plaza / Galeria Plaza. That was the first one. And that was the first indoor kind of, I think Dave would say, American-style mall in Krakow. And it was a
But there's only one good style of mall, and that's an American style mall. I never take that away from you.
Success, a massive success for about 6 months, because 6 months after it opened, M1 opened just down the street, right? Also in LA, Pocoyo. M1 had a better mix of stores, a bigger supermarket, and it was most crucially, it was more convenient for people traveling by car.
It's more of an outlet park.
More of a what?
An outlet park. You know, it's got separate entrances all over the place.
Well, it's just more accessible.
It's
and
that weird.
Visitor friendly.
It's that warehouse style where they're all big box stores, and people like that. They're convinced in a store that size that.
And it was also M1 was also a bit smaller than it is today. When you walk in the door today, well, no, I guess it depends on what door you walk into, but it stretches. M1 goes. Let me see. It goes east-west, and the west end, like the western third of M1 did not exist when it first opened. Down there where the pet store is, I guess you can say. Anyway, it was a success because
and all the silence.
Krakow Plaza is just stupidly designed in terms of access if you're for drivers. And the most ridiculous thing about Krakow Plaza when it opened, the tram stop was not where it is today. The tram stop, if you wanted to get off at the closest entrance to the mall, it was down there at the traffic light where the Toyota dealership is today. So you had to get off the tram and walk backwards about 200 meters to go into the mall. It was ridiculous. And it was such a pain that they, the management of the mall, I imagine, worked with the city to get that fixed. And, that's why we had
it's grand now. You go right in the entrance.
Yeah, it's right in the door today. But at the time, it was just completely stupid.
Over the bridge, which is decaying and has, you can see the signs that used to be on the concrete that have been taken off, but there's still the impression.
Faded by the sun. Yeah. And it's just, Krakow Plaza has been rough around the edges for some time, which kind of,
Even its arcade is very shoddily designed within the bowling alley, which is grand. Very clean, well kept. The pool tables are fine. But the arcade itself is a mixture of card pays and coin operated machines. It's about 50-50 in there. Why would anyone, that's really irritating.
The only bowling alley in the city, as far as I know.
Well, apart from the little one on Platz Novi.
Anyway, it's not even a contender.
Apart from that one, obviously, yes.
I mean, the most...
And what did the Romans... Oh, yeah.
Well, the Romans are a great point about our next Galeria, because they would have appreciated the level of civil engineering, design, forethought, and execution that went into the mall known as
Galeria
Krakowska. It's the most
wait. I'm doing a timeline here, Dave. Doing a timeline that you're totally fucking up. So
yeah, but as usual, you're taking forever.
No, so, goes Krakow Plaza, goes M1, and then let's just ignore Dave, please.
Yeah, 5 minutes on the crappiest malls on there.
Which I thought you wanted to talk about. Galeria Kashmir is built in a former slaughterhouse, meat processing plant. By the way, that's why you see all the little cow heads everywhere.
Flecks of blood.
Yeah, bits of stomach on the floor. Galeria Kashmir is actually very well. I agree. It's very well designed. It has a nice little plaza outside where they have the food truck thing. What's the health club there? Pure? Is that a different
I don't know.
one?
I can't
Whatever
remember.
it is.
I think Pure is gone. Actually,
it's got a nice little mix of stores. Yeah, it's well designed. But for a while there, I think it was things were looking grim after Galeria Krakowska opened. I think they had a severe drop in people traffic, but it's been turned around. I think it's pretty successful now.
It's doing well, but I still see a lot of turnover in the store frontage. They're good at covering it up, but there's still stores, letting their leases run down. It's still, to me, it's surprisingly quiet for a shopping centre. In Ireland, even the ones that are said to be not that busy tend to be, on average, a lot busier than they are over here. The only shopping centre to me that feels, we're really mixing what we're calling up malls and shopping centres. I'm deeply confused.
Yeah, everybody's lost by now. Yeah,
Galeria Krakowska, right? Let's deliver the pitch for anyone who hasn't been there, and even for people who've lived there for a long time. You kind of forget how impressive it is. That was just a shitty train station. And they transformed it with tunnelling, underground rail connections from the airport, from everywhere around Europe, into this hub where you just emerge seamlessly from either the bus station, the trains, or the tram.
It's very nice.
Right underneath the shopping centre, and in you go, and there you are in a very well designed, large, busy shopping centre that has 2 McDonald's. That's always a smackdown to other galleries.
I think there's more than 2.
I think there are 3, Dave.
Yeah.
Oh,
get with the program here.
Where's the third one?
There's one on the top floor.
Yeah, the one that's always been there.
One on the passageway to the bus
train,
station.
the tram tunnel.
And isn't another one on the ground floor? Or sorry, it's a KFC. There's 2 KFCs there.
It's 2 KFCs.
And a Burger King.
Yeah, so you were completely incorrect.
I guess I was wrong. Anyway. Galeria Krakowska was in the planning stages for about a decade before it finally opened. What was it, 2008? I think it opened.
Yeah,
2008. Right. And the plan was, and the money was there for the longest time, but there was an American development company that just gave up and left, I think 2003, 2004, because, as you say, everything's integrated, but it's integrated because, PKP, the train station people, and PKS, the bus station, and the post office, they were all on that property. So it was like a hornet's nest of government agencies, which meant it was completely impossible to get anything done in terms of developing the land. And as I said, this American company whose name I've forgotten, they spent a decade trying to get it done. They said, screw it. They left. And then someone else came in, picked up the pieces, and was able to put it together. And that's how we got the mall we have today.
And what a job they did. I mean, they got together and they came up with a wonderful solution.
But it's kind of a trend now. I mean, all over. That's in Warsaw they have it like that. In Katowice it's like that. In Poznan it's like that. It's your train station and bus station and mall and maybe public transport, like a tram stop like we have here.
It's still well done though. Like the way they did the Rondo Mogilska. I'm always going on about it. Like it's beautiful. Rondo Mogilska is one of the best designed pieces of civil engineering I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Are we leaving the malls behind us now? And going
right. Okay, we got off track a bit there. So Krakowska is the one to beat. It's the big daddy.
Krakowska is the one to
snorting 800-pound gorilla in the room.
It can be a little bit overwhelming though. There's so many people there,
My wife does not like Galeria Krakowska because of the crowds of people.
It's not relaxing at all.
And that train station thing particularly, I mean, you also get like crowds of people dragging their luggage, down the marble.
Yes, and it's funny, you could take out all the people who are actually shopping. You could take out all the people who are actually shopping there and it would still be crowded at the mall because of the people in transit going to from the bus.
But I guess the big test is like how often or how many closed units do you see in Galeria Krakowska? If you see one, it is like that for a fortnight until they're fitting out the incoming.
I'm sure they pay for that privilege as
well.
Oh,
I'm sure they do.
That's why we're talking about our favourite malls, because there's no question which is the most commercially successful, well-designed.
So then we have Bonarka, which I agree with Josh. I think in terms of the layout, in terms of the atmosphere, I think Bonarka is quite nice.
Central part of the fabric of Krakow life because of the office buildings beside it. A good chunk of the city's young professionals work beside Bonarka, so we're all familiar with its vast cavernous walking distances between the food court and the offices. That's a bit of an annoying feature. But
I don't live close to Bonarka, but I wish I did it because if I could walk, I would go.
The cinema is amazing.
Cinema's great, and it just I don't know. Totally different atmosphere than Krakow.
Cinema City, if you're listening, we'd very much appreciate some VIP seats. We will trash any movie
Cinema
that you have here.
Yes.
Then what do we have now? Galeria Branovica, which is a bit of a wild card.
Oh, yeah.
It's so far from
a wild card.
Yes.
It's a fucking shopping center.
It's a shopping. But wait a second. In terms of atmosphere, it's a 0. In terms of is it a destination? No, there's no cinema there. It's next door to IKEA, so that's a big reason why I think it gets the traffic that it does. But here's the thing about it: it's massively successful, and I would not be surprised if
what are we talking? Down by Macro, a postcard?
Yeah.
That place used to be the worst place on earth to drive to.
But wait a second. Oh, the traffic.
Traumatized by going to Macro.
Crazy. But I'll bet you anything. Galeria Branovica, the shops there are very successful because when you think about it, all the places we've just mentioned, Plaza, Imyedin, Bonarka, Krakowska, Kazimierz, they are all in the center of town or on the east side of town. Branovica is the only mall on the entire west side of the city.
John is flashing a gang signal now.
It's mad. They got a huge catchment area and all this kind of sprawl in the small towns and villages that go out to the northwest.
Yeah.
That's their closest.
Well, you got everything there.
So they have their own territory, and it's one half of the entire city.
You got everything there. The little the Mackie days before you got in the motorway is starting to look a bit dwarfed out there. You don't know just towering bridges and overpasses.
And the Wild Bean Cafe at the BP station.
Yeah, we've been here long enough to remember when that place was kind of the edge of town, and it's not so much anymore. It's very
revving our scooters on a Saturday night at 10 o'clock. Yeah.
Again, we've witnessed some epic building projects in the time we've lived here that have transformed the city. To drive out to Bonarka, you see the Jacobs building. I don't know if they own it or whatever, but they're the ones that are branded on it. It's absolutely beautiful bit of architecture. The Congress of Ice,
roads,
stunning.
Malls, so shopping centers.
Bring on the future.
Some great intersections as well.
Last one, and I have to bring this up to complete the list, but I don't know if either of you have even been there. Serenata.
Oh, I've heard things about its wonderful songstress.
Nope, not even heard of it.
The Sirens of Serenata.
So trust us on the KrakCast when we talk about malls, because 2/3 of us haven't been to this. It's nice. It's supposed to be. You should check it out. It's supposed to be an upscale mall. They're shooting for a different class of customer,
Really?
which is odd because they're on the edge of Nova Huta, and I just offended everybody in Nova Huta. But sorry, that's where the real estate was. It's not that big, but the selection of shops is quite nice. Again, looking for a higher disposable income shopper, I guess we can say.
Actually, on the subject of outlets, have you ever been to what I consider the hilariously named King Square?
Yeah, it's a bit lower down the royalty hierarchy than.
Well, no, that's what I mean. It's like it's discount shops, and it's
like
the other end of the scale.
What's like 7 steps below King on the scale? I don't even know what that is, but
I don't know. But it's just that.
Does that count as a mall? That's a good question. Does it count
I don't know.
as a
It's
mall?
like a kind of a strip mall, isn't it? Really, I don't know. Is that
just something like over there on Opolska where Auchan is, behind the McDonald's? Is that a mall?
Speaking of McDonald's, my favorite mall memory is
This is the guy who always makes fun of me for talking about McDonald's. But
when Galeria Krakowska finally came out of the Mac wilderness and into the light. And now I can get a Big Mac on
They've got a nice food court there now. They do.
He went in and ordered a bargain bucket to celebrate. Oh, oops.
No, you know what I do sometimes though? I'll bring back a book. I'll go and get takeaway and get a bucket of chicken and some double cheeseburgers and stuff, and kind of combine a KFC and a McDonald's. Now with their new waiting system, you can do that, because they give you a ticket, so you can run straight over, order your Mackie D's, and then bang off like a light little 30 seconds in the microwave, and you get home and you got KFC.
It's at this point we remind our listeners that the KrakCast has no commercial sponsors and that any opinions stated herein are entirely those of the people
KFC
stating
and
them.
McDonald's are welcome to
sponsor us.
Yeah,
Big bucket of spicy wings.